What's going on, guys? I am back with another video. Guys, I'm keeping it real and I'm back. This is really cool for me because I've been a huge fan of the gentleman that's coming up. As long as I've been watching Stadia content, he's been one of the first people I watch content. And I want to tackle a question that a lot of people have. Guys, we're going to get into it. We just got an hour to do this. So we're going to get in, get out. Please have good questions. Ask your questions. I know sometimes everybody say, hey, what's up? What's up? To everybody in the chat. That I'm going to skip. I might tap on it, but if you have questions, let me know. But guys, a lot of you guys are here because we're all been fans of Stadia, right? And so the question is Stadia dead or not? And that's what people have been saying. And that's why I'm here today, because I want to put this topic to bed if possible, or get closer to putting the nail in the coffin. But for me, I wanted to not go through it on my own, but I want to get a guy who's well versed in the Stadia universe, who's well versed in the cloud gaming. This guy, some might say, is cloud gaming extreme. Okay, that was pretty cheesy, but I'm bringing on none other guys than my guy Ace from Cloud Gaming Extreme. So here we go. What's going
Hey,
on,
what's
Ace?
up? What up, man? How are you, sir?
I am good, brother. Just want to say thank you one more time for this
Sure.
is um listen, this is like Hollywood for me. You know, where you sit home and watch TV and you never think
Okay.
Tom Cruise or somebody gonna hit you up.
Oh
So
boy.
I'm just telling you, you're the Tom Cruise of the Stadia
Oh boy.
universe, right?
Oh boy.
Cloud gaming.
I guess I appreciate it, but no, we just love making content, man. That's
Yes,
what we
sir.
do. But I appreciate you having me here, man, for sure.
Yeah. So
So
I know you're on a time schedule, and
yeah.
so let's get into it. So here's my thing, man. A lot of people was like, all right, so listen, it's called keeping it real, all right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I am I know a lot of people switched up a little bit, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people who had a cloud centric channel, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
was able to do anything. They was able to touch GeForce, Shadow, Stadia, Luna, you name it. But then
Yeah.
there were some people who came out the gate, Stadia in the name, this Stadia, that Stadia, right? And I'm just saying in
Mm-hmm.
general. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe the closing of the studios, man, it shook up the cloud gaming universe like no
For
other, right?
sure.
It was like
For
it was
sure.
like a comet hitting the planet, right? Messed the
Yeah.
dinosaurs all up, right?
Right.
So
Right.
now listen, it is what it is, right? Companies got to do what they got to do to survive. What
Mm.
I'm more talking about is do you feel that first of all I want to get from you, was that a good move to you? Because I don't know if I mean you guys cover a lot, but I want to ask, I don't remember if I heard your take on it or not. First of all, was
Yeah.
that a good decision for Stadia to close for Stadia to no longer gonna make their own content?
Yeah. I mean, I think time will tell if it's a good decision or not. But I felt like the way they went about it was not the
Okay.
best way to do so, right? Again, people invested in this platform with the promise of them creating something awesome through,
Okay.
original exclusive content via the cloud, like making games specifically and
Hmm.
designed to utilize the power of the cloud. And I will be 100% honest with you, that was one of the things that caught my attention. And I'm
Okay.
sure most people who follow a lot of us and creators, and that was kind of the promise that they were sold on as well. But
Sure.
time will tell if this becomes a big deal. But I would say the way they went about communicating about it was not the best way.
Okay, but my question for you is, do you so I listen, I agree. Now here's the thing, right? Um
Mm-hmm.
with me and my friends, right, I was always a little different. I always looked at myself more on the business side and they was more the
Mm-hmm.
consumer side, right? So
Yeah.
like you know how Chasey's always advocating for the consumers. I'm more on the side where, listen, if I like it enough, I'll spend money at your business, but I always wanted to be above being a consumer. I always wanted to have the business mindset that one day I might have to make a tough decision. I told my story how I was working at a job for 19 years, a few months away from 20 years. 2 years ago, I went to work on a Thursday, walked into work. Somebody was leaving, said, "Hey, man, nice to, see you." I said, "What are you talking about?" They're letting people go. 11 o'clock, they called me in, said, "Hey, we're letting you go." They lost one of their major clients, right? So I
Right.
left, like, all right, cool. So people was like, "How are you so okay about it?" I said, "Listen, it's business. At the end of the day, listen, payroll is the first thing you do. You cut payroll so you can stay afloat." Now, 150 people lost their jobs at the with the Stadia thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what you do. So for me, being in the same situation, or a person that got let go after almost 20 years, I ain't talking about 1 year. I just took it on the
It's a
chin.
long
What can I
time.
do?
Yeah.
Now, my
Yeah.
question for you is though, so I agree with you. Like I believe in PR, right? There's a certain way you say things to kind of
Mm-hmm.
not make yourself look a certain way, right? But my
Mm-hmm.
question for you is, overall, did it bother you that they closed this studio? Like them no longer having first party games, like how much of an impact does that hit you being a Stadia influencer, is what I'm trying to get from you.
Yeah. It's I think it's a big deal. I mean, we talk about it
Mhm.
a lot on our podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
So cloud gaming is a different beast. But I feel like the video game market is the same. So Stadia can survive for people who listen and understand that. They
Okay.
can survive. We talk about Steam, right? Steam is up and kicking, right? They
Mhm.
have some exclusives, some people would say, but people don't purchase Steam for the exclusive. They purchase Steam because it's one of the best ways to purchase PC games
Okay.
anywhere, right? So, can Stadia survive? Yes. But I feel like it's going to be all the more challenging now that they
Okay.
don't have first party exclusives. I mean, we this whole streaming service, if you look at it, I compare it to stuff like Netflix, Hulu, HBO
Hmm.
Max, that side of things. And if you look at what's going on there, again, cloud gaming is still new. People are still trying to figure it out. But if you look at the media streaming side of things, again, with Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, you see the importance of exclusives, right? Netflix is sitting there trying to make these Stranger
Right.
Things. You see HBO trying to push the Game of Thrones. You see Disney making exclusive content, and people are going to those services and platforms just for the exclusives. Now, Google can survive again without, if you look at
Hmm.
Steam, but I feel like with the competition, picking up Steam, I mean, you look at what Xbox and XCloud is doing. We know Sony's gonna enter the game. For those people
Right.
thinking that Sony's gonna just sit this one out, you're crazy.
Well,
So
just
Sony's event, yeah, go
Yeah, I was
ahead.
gonna say just today is when they added some new games, Marvel
Right.
Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
Borderlands, and something else
Mm-hmm.
on PlayStation
Yeah.
Now.
Right.
Limited time
Eventually,
though, limited.
yeah, true. But eventually they're gonna pick things up, and I feel like that's where, again, for Google to compete, man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard and challenging, especially like if once we start seeing all the acquisition that Microsoft has been making lately, all those games start coming to Game Pass, start coming to the cloud. The Game Pass is probably gonna get similar same day release games as Stadia gets, but then what is going to differentiate each platform from its competitors is the
So,
features and exclusivity. So,
I will say that. So let's say right now Stadia has some features that other cloud native cloud platforms don't, right? But
mm-hmm,
yeah, I agree with you. If and when, because I'm pretty sure Microsoft is trying to figure out the secret sauce that Stadia has, right? Because
mm-hmm.
it's a
Oh yeah,
Stadia and xCloud are not on the same level. We could agree with that.
not
The
right
way,
now.
the way
Yeah.
they, but I agree. The day they catch up, um, I did my stream recently, and like I said, Xbox or Game Pass can be the future of gaming, but
Mm-hmm,
the thing is though, there's a lot of speculation, right? Like
mm-hmm.
we will be a fool to sit here and say Microsoft won't eventually catch up, but we can't say they have yet, right?
Yeah. Right. True.
So
True.
that's the magic trick,
Yeah. Performance wise, xCloud is nowhere close to what Google Stadia is doing right now. But content wise, I would say
Oh yeah.
xCloud is above Stadia.
Now,
So
but
once the performance
right,
catches up, I believe it's gonna. And again, we haven't seen the fruition of all those games that
right.
they acquired, the Bethesdas, the again, Rare making a new IP. You have the new
But
Fable coming, Halo Infinite. Once those games start coming to the cloud, man, it's and performance is top notch. It's gonna be a problem.
so here's my thing, Ace. When people say, okay, what makes Stadia? Again, it's no secret. Stadia is my favorite platform right now, right? But I own
Mm-hmm.
an Xbox, I own a PlayStation, right? I call myself a gamer's gamer. I like to be in the know. Even if I don't play Nintendo Switch, I like to know what's going on with them, right?
Yeah. Right.
My
Right.
counter is always this: when people was high on Luna versus Stadia, here's my counter, and it's the same goes for Game Pass or XCloud as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if my favorite game was Marvel Avengers or Doom Eternal was my favorite game last year, which is kind of funny
Yeah.
because well, Xbox does have Doom Eternal. They don't have
Yeah.
Xbox does have Doom Eternal, but they don't have Avengers yet. Here's my thing. Um, if my favorite game came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like people have exclusives, like, oh, well, why would I buy a PlayStation? Because I want God of War or blah, 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 right? So,
Yeah.
what will make me jump? I know xCloud or Game Pass has a lot of value, but my counter is if I still can't purchase the game that I want to play, then why
Mm-hmm.
am I going to choose um, Game Pass or xCloud, right? Because let's say your
Yeah.
favorite game was let's say you don't have an Xbox, right? But you said,
Mm-hmm.
listen, I want to counter Stadia with XCloud, right? I'm going to look at it the
Mm-hmm.
same way, right? They got
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda, they got all these games. But what happens when your favorite game come out that's not on XCloud or Game Pass? Then you kind of screwed.
Yeah. Great question. And I think this echoes what we preach in our channel, right? Have multiple streaming services, right? That's the beauty of like cloud gaming. It's not like you are having to shell out $500 to buy a traditional console. You see people owning Netflix, you see people owning HBO Max, you see people owning Hulu, right? Why can't it be the same for cloud gaming? The subscription model is cheap enough for you to have xCloud, for you to have GeForce Now, for you to have Stadia, for you to have Luna. So that's what I would say to that question, right? There might be a game like the Yakuza series on xCloud that you can't get on Google Stadia, right? Get xCloud and enjoy those games. Now, if you're sick of it and you want to play Red Dead Redemption again, which is a game that's not on xCloud right now,
Good
hop
point.
onto Stadia, play that. You want to play Rogue Company, which is on neither Stadia or xCloud, hop on GeForce Now. The
Well,
exclusivity of sticking to one platform, I just don't get it with cloud gaming. You know.
you know what it is, Ace? Somebody would literally spend $500 on a
Right.
console and get stuck in one ecosystem before they think, hey, what if I spend $45 a month between three and I can have it all? And I think that's what our mentalities are. I like what Doc Dart said yesterday. He said we're dinosaurs. You know,
Yeah.
new kids, they grab a
Right.
phone and play wherever or whatever. They don't think
Yeah.
about I gotta hold this
Yeah.
thing in my hand.
I yeah.
For
I
real.
watched that and he was on point for sure with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Let's see. So, Hell Monkey said, I say this in all walks of life. Gaming, politics, news, MSN, MSM is in the pockets of the big companies. They are honest, so don't listen to them. I mean, yeah, listen, that is what it is, but I think what you're saying makes sense. We choose to purchase what we want, but I think what Doc Dark was saying is so true. We're kind of older, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the smart man breaks out and say, "Hey, I'm going to pay for a couple of subscriptions. I get it all." But then you ask yourself, well, over time, right? How much is the value? Because how much of these games am I actually playing on a subscription? And then how
It's
much
true.
money did it add up?
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It's true. It's true. I agree.
Um,
100%.
but so I want a clear answer, man. So
Mm-hmm.
are you of one of, because I know people. that
Mm-hmm.
they're like, listen, listen, Duncan made it clear. I asked him to specify, and he said, okay, well, what I mean is 6 months to a year, Stadia is going to change, rebrand and change their name. So in essence, that's his definition of the dying. But my question to you is, my question to you is, do you see Stadia dying, meaning it's gone over? Google didn't cut the fat; they're done, or do you see Stadia switching up their name, or do you see Stadia still going? Can we get a clear answer, please?
Yeah. So
Your
what I see happening is I feel like Google and the Stadia team have a roadmap for Stadia for the next, I would say, year, possibly two.
opinion.
And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now. They're just riding the wave of that roadmap. I think that is what is going to happen. The games, I feel like, again, if you watch the interview, I forgot who was interviewed end of last year. But again, someone from the Stadia team, they were saying they have 2021 figured out, 2022, and they're looking for RPGs for what, 23 or 24. Again, I think we're just going to see that moving forward. But then, as I think he lost connection. But anyway, I see some people are still on here watching. But this is hilarious improv. But yeah, I see this continuing them following the roadmap, and then eventually, I think by the end of this year, early next year, possibly next year as a whole, we will tell kind of where Stadia and the Stadia team are trying to roll with with Google Stadia and if it's gonna live or not live for sure. But guys, this is comical because the host is MIA. So I just like hijacked his channel, right? So I'm gonna take some questions. I can't pull it up because I don't have access to it. Hopefully he hops back in here, but let me see what some of you guys are saying here in the chat. All right, I'm gonna try to answer some of y'all questions until the host comes back. Let's see. Yo, Ray, what is good? It's good to see you. Raven Anime, it's good to see you on here. I'm using my phone. Improv, baby. Improv, you gotta make this work. Right, Raven Anime, it's good to see you on here. For sure. Give me a second, y'all. Alright. Sorry, y'all. Cowboys bus. Channel hijacked. I see y'all. Uh, okay, let's just get some questions here. Spread love. What up, Dre? Collins Dynasty. What's good, bro? There he is.
Yeah.
I was
Sorry,
I was a
what's
little
crazy is
concerned, bro.
today's a warm day, and
Yeah.
I was sitting in my car, and so it was my car was because I had the windows up, so you guys didn't hear the beautiful wind in the background. It said your phone is getting hot, so it's overheating. But
Ooh.
so I had to step outside of the car because it's a nice breeze out. But
Cool,
so
cool.
I hear what you were saying, which is cool, guys. The StreamYard just stays on, but that is
Yeah, it
pretty
does.
epic.
That is
But
dope.
what do you got to say about what Kessel Runner was saying though? Um, that he
Also,
said people act like Stadia won't be able to purchase like their own studios or hire a cloud. Because think about it. Yes, they're not like. Does it matter if Stadia get a company to build a cloud native game versus they do it themselves?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I would say, honestly speaking, that's the better route to go.
Okay.
I don't think we're done with seeing acquisitions. I think Microsoft, you guys have been hearing rumors of them looking to purchase a Japanese company like Sega or
Mhm.
possibly Capcom. Why don't Google go that route? something to understand with creating games, and that's why I think Microsoft is going the route that they're going, because they tried to compete with Sony by creating their first party internal studios, and they saw how difficult it was, right? Instead
Yeah.
of Google starting from ground up and trying to build, first party studio battle exclusively, I would say the better idea would be to purchase studios and have them create those exclusive. Purchasing, imagine like if Google purchased Sega, right? Then they
Mm-hmm.
have a mascot for Google Stadia, right? They have Sonic, right?
Sonic. Yeah.
Again, I would say that route might actually be the better route, and I can see this happen down the line. So we just gotta wait and see. But my biggest gripe with Google and the
Okay.
Stadia right now is just the non-communication about where the future of this platform is going. And I would say that's my
So,
biggest gripe with it right now.
and you know what's crazy? So here's the thing. I don't know how old you are, Ace, but I'll be 45 on Tuesday, right? So
Right.
I said this before. Most of my game in life has been, if you wanted to know what was going on, you had to pick up a Game Informer, right? And chances are games might say to be announced, or you went to Electronics
Yeah.
Boutique,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
and they said, hey, to
EV
be
games.
announced,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I guess because this is more new age, where it's like we want to know every play by play, right? Because if we don't know what they're doing next week, then they might be shutting down, right? And for me, I feel like, so I asked this question, I think even in your chat one time. I'm pretty sure in that statement they put out, right, which was poorly done, right, that
Yeah.
the studios was closing. So
Yeah.
that, but they did say in that same statement that they do not plan on closing Stadia, correct? So, but we still feel like they need to do something more in order for us to believe them, right? Why is that?
Because it's Google. Just being real. No, just being real.
All right,
I'm in techie, so I followed Google for the
got you.
longest time. I've seen them shut down services that I was highly invested in, like Google Plus, Hangouts, and people make the argument that yeah, they don't officially shut down; they
Right,
merge it into something else. But if you listen to interviews about devs with making games for Google Stadia, that was the biggest concern that they had. How long is Google willing to stay in this game? And
right,
so, I mean, the thing with Google and the Stadia team sometimes, I feel like they just give the press PR to attack them. You know what I'm saying?
got you.
Like, this could have easily been avoided by just them, coming making the statement saying, "Hey, we're closing out, but this is the next move." Right?
Okay,
Again, they gave us 100 game roadmap and said that they are looking to just help devs with the Google Stadia attack. And Brent, what does that mean? We don't know. But again, just clarification. This is the next move. This is
right.
where we go, and I feel
Well,
like can just help clear a
yeah, because
lot
I
of
thought I
this.
thought they didn't they say that they're planning on spending their money on getting the games people want,
They didn't
right?
specifically say that.
Okay,
They said they're going to be working with publishers and
right,
companies, and that's not even clear. What does that mean? Does it mean you're going to be licensing your tech to them for them to use your tech to create their own kind of Ubisoft Plus type channels? Like, what
right.
does that mean?
Yeah, but let me
Um,
let me ask you this though: if you're a
mm-hmm,
gamer and you
mm-hmm,
want to buy games, and you're a content creator, so this is why I always said when I talk to Avery and people behind the scenes at Stadia Source, I said you guys do
mm-hmm,
look at things differently. You guys do editorial stuff, you do reviews. I'm just a
mm-hmm,
gamer and I make content. But my
mm-hmm,
question is, again, for me, right? So my question is for you: what does it even matter how they're going to get their games, or what they, if you're just going to play the games and you're going to make content based off the games they came out with? Then I mean, if they put a man on the moon to the rocket ship a game to us, or I mean, what does it really matter, right? If the games are going to come regardless, does it even
mm-hmm,
matter? Like, because I feel like sometimes you guys put a lot of stock into what's behind the scenes and what is Google doing. But my thing is, if I came into this because it was tech. So it was like, oh wait, I could play on my TV and then walk in the bedroom. That solves my
Yeah.
issue when I'm playing my PlayStation and my kids get loud. Now I
Right.
don't have to
Right.
stop what I'm doing, right? And restart
Mm-hmm.
it. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, does it really matter how they get their games and who's making their games? Does it really matter?
It doesn't really matter as
Mm,
long as they are, just consistent with getting
right.
games into the platform. No, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. I mean, and because in the grand scheme of things, we just really want content, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
Let me say
Mm-hmm.
games. And we want features because they did promise features, right? So they gave out
Mm-hmm.
some features. I think they probably did almost everything they said they would do at this point. Could
Mm-hmm.
could have been earlier. But I mean, for me, I guess I don't really know what else. For me, again, for me, I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know what else they need to do. Like, I know this. The tech works. So far, man, they've got every AAA game day and date since that they're closing the studio.
Yeah,
But
true, but performance is an issue, man. I mean, you look at
okay,
Outriders, bro, like that 4K 30. You compare it. I know,
okay.
technically, even though they claim Stadia has 10 teraflops, it's more powerful than the Xbox, One
Well,
X
PlayStation. I
and
think Xbox
PS4
got more
Pro.
teraflops, but PlayStation.
No, I'm saying they were saying it's more powerful than the old generation
Got you,
PlayStation
got you.
Pro and Xbox One X combined, right? Realistically, though, some of these games that are just coming out on the platform
Mm-hmm.
are just not, they're not running well. And so that kind of becomes an issue because people will probably go elsewhere to play these games if they're not performing well in Stadia. So you're saying like what does it matter if they're getting the games, that's what we should be happy about. But
Right,
realistically, if they are getting these games and they're not performing well on the platform,
right,
Cyberpunk was a great move when a powerful game, a highly graphically intense game like that ran well on the
right.
platform. That's a great selling point. But again, Outriders having 1080 60 choke, having 4K 30. I mean, that game is unplayable at 4K 30. So then, is that the best place to play that game? Some people
That's
might go
that. I mean,
elsewhere
that
and
is a
pick it
good
up.
point. So listen, I think the great thing you said we can't forget. You can choose to get a subscription or whatever. I mean, yeah. Listen, if I was a Stadia guy, I don't know if I want to buy another console, right? Because I got into this cheaper, right? But if it's on a subscription, yes, I could jump somewhere else if I feel it isn't playing well.
Right.
But what's playing well, like not well? So for me, I hear people say bad ports. Um, I guess because I'm not playing side by side games, but I personally haven't played a game yet on Stadia where I'm like, yo, who made this game? This is trash. Why don't they? What's the developers doing? But then again, that's a lot of point where. So how much of it is Stadia's problem? If we just clearly said Cyberpunk played great and it was great, it was in 2020, it was like the standard bearer or the measuring stick of games, right? So if it
Mm-hmm.
played great on Stadia, and then one game doesn't play great on Stadia, so is it Stadia or is it developers?
So it's great that you covered this. We covered this in our podcast. We had Gamer TV. If you guys don't know who he is,
Mhm.
check him out. But he's awesome with reviewing things, and he was a ex dev as well. And that was a big question he brought up. Like he was saying he just doesn't understand how a game can run as great as Cyberpunk. Like, where is the inconsistency breakdown? The
Gotcha.
game can run as well as Cyberpunk, and then other games still struggle. Obviously, someone at Google has found something that works. Why
Mhm.
aren't they communicating with all of the other devs to say, hey, this is what we figured out with Cyberpunk.
Right.
Let's bring that into this game to have this game run. But
Right.
this just not that consistency with performance. And yes,
Yeah.
it's I don't know who to blame for that, but it is an issue. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I don't I see I don't I have no clue either. I couldn't speculate. I don't me what I usually look at the money trail, right? I look at it like,
Mm,
okay, how much money is Google giving them? How much
that's
time and
true.
money do they want to take to spend extra time to making their game? Like for instance, when people say, "Oh, well, Google said every game is going to be 4K." Well, the developer might be like, "Man, let's be honest. Google's the redheaded stepchild in gaming. Why are we going to take
Yeah.
extra manpower to work on making that game 4K on Stadia when the player base is low, right? So why
It's
would you
true.
do that? So if you're going to
It's
spend
true.
extra, if you're making money and you still got to take people manpower, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a catch 22. All I can say is in the future, I think Google will be serious, but at the same time, what Microsoft is doing is rivaling the whole video game industry, something that we never seen before. And that's listen, man, I'm giving them credit.
Yeah,
It is
they
scary, you
yeah,
know. I tell you this
they
much:
want they want blood, man.
they
Microsoft
want
is out to get everyone. They see
listen
Google as a threat. They see Luna as a threat. They're coming for them. They see Sony
that
as a threat. They come. They see PC as a threat. They're coming for them. They're not playing
and
around.
and the funny thing is, people always bring up Stadia, right? Listen,
Mm-hmm.
I think who's feeling it the worst is PlayStation,
Oh, they're
because
struggling right now.
PlayStation, they're
They're
feeling it the worst. They
struggling.
came out side by side pretty much with their new
Yep.
consoles. I
Yep.
don't. Yes, yes. Sony is a popularity contest, so more people are buying a PlayStation 5, right? But nobody's talking about the PlayStation 5 because there's
Yeah.
nothing to talk about,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know. But
Yeah. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Microsoft is making some great moves, and
Yeah,
they gearing themselves pretty well to be the dominant company for all things gaming in about 5 to 10 years. It's
yeah.
they
I mean,
they
that's
they
fair to
making
say.
some beastie moves.
Now, let me ask you this: it has nothing to do with Stadia, but
Mm-hmm.
what I said is I can't see, and this is my belief. So I want to see what you got to say about this. I
Mm-hmm.
can't see PlayStation doing a pass like Microsoft with their first party games, because Last of Us,
Mm-hmm.
Part One and Part Two, God of War,
Uh-huh.
they all was
Mm-hmm.
Game of the Year. They're gonna make so much money. I feel like they're gonna lose money if they put them on a path on a
Yeah.
pass.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? What's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
So the advantage that Microsoft has over like the you look at Nintendo and Sony is the fact that they have way more money than both of them, right? Again, this I can't. I mean, imagine Sony trying to pay 8 point something billion to acquire
Right.
Bethesda. If you look at the market cap, no one is close to. I'm talking about Nintendo. I know Google and Amazon can rival market cap of Microsoft, but you look at um, PlayStation and
Mhm.
Nintendo, they can't match it. So I would say that's the biggest thing with them competing with uh s- sorry hold on 1 second. Yeah, my bad. Okay, sorry. My client just
Gotcha.
came in, so apologize.
Like,
All
hey
right,
man,
I'm sorry.
I still got
All
some
right, no,
time.
keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well, did you
my
see
bad.
what Clive said? Clive said a bunch of his, he said Outcasters, Outriders and Little Nightmares too, they both look great, both run great.
Uh huh.
So he's pretty much saying that, there's games that run great. Like, what game runs, like, I guess for me, you guys are real techy, right? You guys are side by side comparing stuff. But what is a game that runs terrible on Stadia? Like, I'm curious.
What is the game that runs terrible
Right.
on
That, like, you're
Stadia?
like, oh my God, this is noticeably bad. Because I feel like I haven't come across that, you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, just that's a great question. As of recent, I would say that the biggest game is just the launch of Outriders,
Okay.
and Assassin's Creed. Is not the best performing game Valhalla
Okay.
wise. There are games I feel like most and Watch Dogs Legions, most of Ubisoft's fall of 2020 games. I don't know what was going on with those
Hmm.
games. Legions, Valhalla, those games did not run great in Stadia. And I guess like my biggest issue with Stadia is just the fact that for most games they can't get 60 FPS running in 4K. And that's kind of what next gen is pushing. I mean, we can make the argument that Stadia still has first generation tech, and then if you're making that argument, then you comparing it side by side with the PlayStation Pro and the
Okay.
Xbox Series, and so then and Xbox One X, and so then that's a fair comparison.
Right.
But you know, if they boost in having 10 teraflops, which is equivalent to what is in the PS5,
Right.
then and again they boast in the power of the cloud, being able to take advantage, utilize the cloud to make gaming better for people. All those I think what sorry from what killed Stadia is just the overpromise at GDC, and I think they realized that. But anyway, I would say they should be able to push 4K 60, and that I would
Got
say is my biggest gripe with Stadia performance wise. So they kill it at 1080 60,
you.
but
Well, what
4K
if you found?
60
Well,
is
you see
good.
that they're having a little bit of debate here. Petter Game said, "Oh, 100% is developers. Each game runs differently. Some have 4K 60, some don't. It's down to the developers to push servers to the max."
It's down to both. Again, like we stated, man. I mean, I think what this is going to take is Google sending the engineers to kind of help out with this process. Again, Gamer TV hit it right in the head with on the podcast. You found the port of Cyberpunk was great. What did you guys learn from that experience? How can you help other companies get the games to run as well? Where is the communication
Right.
breakdown with why can't we get that same performance,
Yeah, but my
throughout the rest of the development process?
my my thing is what I wonder, right? Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's say you got a contract with a different company, right? And this company,
Right.
like for instance, right, Outriders, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
new flavor of the month. It's the new looter game everybody's talking about, but it came out have issues. Now it had issues on everything, right? Not just Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
Now the thing is, like Avery put up a post, right? And he said, everybody's being too hard on them. I said, listen, at the end of the day, you know, I guess it comes down to money. They had to figure out do they research what our player base is looking like, how many people pre-ordered, and maybe we need to do cover so much more. Like for instance, I remember Friday the 13th came out, right? It was a Kickstarter game. That
Right.
game shut down the day it came out because it was way more fans than they even anticipated. Like I bought
Yeah.
it, couldn't play it the first day. So I feel
Right.
like the developers have to maybe spend more money to make it be more vast across more players, but maybe feel like, hey, we'll see who comes in or not and save money and spend money as it goes along. Again, that's a developer thing. But so what I'm saying is, I wonder how much stroke does Stadia have for a developer say, hey, listen, Cyberpunk did great because they did X, Y, and Z. We think you should do that too. And the developer's like, yeah, all right, well, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm curious, but with
Yeah.
that, we'll never know those behind the
Yeah.
scene conversations.
So I feel like Stadia is like an after. This might sound bad and not to be, but I feel like Stadia is an afterthought for developers,
I
right?
agree. Yep.
And Google, they're like the money might be there. Google's probably gonna shell out the money, but we know the user base is not there, so we're not gonna take this port seriously. I mean, you look at NBA 2K. My goodness, that was the worst. It took them forever to update that game, and it's just like ridiculous, right? That game had issues for the longest time, and it's like 2K didn't even give a crap about it in Stadia. A lot of people had to voice the concern for them to really listen. But again, how serious are these devs taking Stadia is the question. Yeah.
Yeah. This is good one. Better Game said he worried about the Game Pass for him because unless you buy a console, what's the point of you locking in? I mean, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of a subscription. That's not a worry.
Exactly.
They don't. They don't.
Exactly.
That's the beauty. If the subscription give you enough value, you're not leaving. I had Netflix forever, and sometimes with
Yeah.
subscriptions they're so cheap. Like Game Pass, dude. I game flied. Sorry, not Game Pass. GameFly. I game
Yeah.
flied. Um. What's the zombie game on Sony? Gone. Days Gone.
The
Right.
day's gone. Yeah.
I just sent it back and I looked. I said, "Damn, I had this game for 7 months and I played it like 3 times." But they just got seven. If you times $17 and like 2 cents times seven, I could have bought that game how many times, right? So that's the
Yeah.
beauty of a subscription. You can come and go, but chances are people just kind of get stuck with it. Take you forever to cancel, like a gym membership. Everybody has a gym membership and don't go, or a lot of people
Yeah.
do, right? So that's
True.
the beauty. I
True.
get what you're saying, but I don't think that's the worry about people canceling a subscription. Because if you put enough content, like HBO Max is revving up. Look at Disney. I said I'll never get Disney Plus because they got nothing but good stuff. They start putting
Yeah.
on them Marvel movies or Marvel shows, I'm like, what's the
Right.
time? Get that
Exactly.
Disney Plus. So it's all about that. So
True.
let me ask you this, since we talk about
Yeah.
value, and I know you gotta go soon, what's your biggest value you see in Stadia? Is it the tech? Like what is it for you that would make you stick around with Stadia? I'm curious.
So I love Stadia, and I'm a techie. Again, I love Google product, and that's the tech behind Stadia. I would say something Stadia does hands down better than anyone, is it performs the best. No one can rival that right now, right? When it comes to just you boot it up, the simplicity of just turning it on, picking up a controller and playing, um, it does that best. And then I love the continuity. I can never say that word of just like switching from multiple devices, right? So again, it does it so seamlessly, going from laptop to the CCU to your phone. Stadia, I believe, hands down, does that really, really well. The tech behind Stadia is what I. So here's what I tell people. I actually use Stadia to play my single player games. Like all my single player games, if it comes out on Stadia, GeForce Now, xCloud, I'm actually going to Stadia because again, I have 6 Stadia controllers at home. I have CCU connected to all my TVs. So the simplicity of just going from upstairs to the basement to the living room is brilliant, and it performs good enough for me to have a great experience. So I would say the tech behind Stadia is hands down what's keeping them in this game. I truly believe it. Um, but let's see if they can sustain that to continue to advance in tech. Again, they promised us 8K 120 eventually, right? Let's see if they get that Gen 2 going.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, look
so,
what Clive said, right? So he said, no doubt some games clearly haven't been optimized for Stadia, but it will get better as devs and Porthouse their games heads around. Now, here's the question, right? So what I want to do is take what he's saying, right? Whenever I bring up, let's say we brought up earlier PlayStation, right? People are
mm-hmm,
like, but PlayStation's gonna. If you think PlayStation ain't getting better, Microsoft's gonna. So why can't we say, oh man, some of these games don't work well on Stadia, but they're gonna be great eventually because Cyberpunk was. Like it seems like it's harder to say. It's like, well, I don't know, man. Some games don't work good for Stadia, but it's easy. I mean, I get it. PlayStation and Xbox have a proven track record, right? So you're like they're the
mm-hmm.
big dogs. But if a game can work as great as Cyberpunk, then one would believe that yeah, maybe some of these games aren't the developers like we don't want to spend extra time or manpower or money, but one should believe that man, games are going to get better on Stadia over time. Is that
Hmm.
now that
I
you
agree.
look at it like that?
I agree. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Here's the thing. My biggest gripe is Google has to stay with the tech, right?
Mm.
If Stadia is to progress, they gotta give it room to do that. And again, that's a lot of people's big concern is when are they gonna cut the cord to Stadia? Do I want them to do that? Heck no. Again, I have a lot of money invested in Stadia with all the games that I purchase. I want to be able to play those games, but I feel like that's the concern of the industry right now. How long is Google willing to hang in there with Stadia? So that's I
So
believe that's
the
the biggest
question is
question.
though, just for you being a tech guy, being a gamer, being in the game for a
Mm-hmm.
while, so if you could draw conclusions of why you think Stadia will, if right, if we go down the rabbit hole of well, if they could stay in the game for if they can hang in there, what will be your conclusions? Like when I talked to Duncan, what will be your conclusions that Stadia's on their way out? Like what gives you fear? Is it only the closing of the studios? But can you sum up for me like you know what gives you fear that Stadia might be looking grim.
I would say come fall of this year. Again, I feel like they've inked a lot of they have a roadmap for this year and next. I would say come fall of this year, next year, when these big games are being announced and you're not seeing them come into Stadia, it shows again the Resident Evil we knew was a thing, right?
Yeah, I
We
agree.
don't know. We know these two other EA games. They're still, they talked about five games come to Stadia. So these two. So come E3, EA announces those two games, and Google's like, oh, it's coming to Stadia. We knew that was coming. So come fall, come next year, when these other big AAA third party dev games starts coming and you not seeing them come to Stadia, then that I feel like is where the concern should
Yeah,
start coming
I
in.
actually said that to Duncan. I said, when I see a game that came out on Stadia and then the sequel doesn't, then I'll be like, okay, because why would you no longer put that same? Because his thing is that he felt behind the scenes they're already going to be done, right? He already know it. My thing is
Mm-hmm.
like, if they do be done, I don't think they think they're going to be done. They know they're, oh man, we know we're shutting down in a year. We're going to act like we're not. I feel like they
Mm-hmm.
feel like, look, we're doing good enough to stay afloat. We're heading in the same direction. But for me, the smoking gun would be, oh man, wait, they had an Outriders Part Two came out and Stadia didn't get it. A Marvel Avengers
Mm-hmm.
2 come out, or you know what I'm saying, a sequel comes out. But Mr. Hermanwell said, what do you think about this? He said, if we're being honest, Stadia can never truly fail. With the amount of money Google makes from advertisements alone, they are unstoppable. Is that an actual thing for you? That makes any sense for you?
So this Google and then this Stadia. Google is a company. So again, I've been following Google for the longest time, right? Uh, the way Google operates is they test things, they see if it sticks, and if it sticks, then they invest heavily in it, right? You look at Chromecast. Chromecast was just a side project. It took off, right, and it starts selling pretty well, and then they channeled and focused like huge business around it. It's the way Google operates. My big concern, yes, Google has the money, right? But if Stadia is not gaining the numbers they want, if Stadia is not getting them the revenue they want, then knowing Google's history, they will cut it off. No matter like even if it has a loyal fan base. I mean, you look at Google Plus, you look at Hangouts. The people who use Hangouts on the regular, I was a big advocate for Google Plus, but they cut all of us out. Like, you know, so that's just the way Google operates, man. It sucks, but they might have the money, but if Stadia is not profitable or
Yeah.
successful, they might cut it off,
I mean,
which
I
sucks.
agree with you. So for me, it's business all day. People say like, oh, they could have got the money, they could write the check, and I always said for them to keep the Stadia studios open. I said, if your
Mm-hmm.
player base is at a 5, right, and your
Mm-hmm.
studio pretty much need, in order for you to make money back, need for you to be at a 15, you wouldn't write the check because you're not going to make back. You're not going to recruit your money, right? You can't see it. So
Mm-hmm.
here, I know we're almost down to the wire. Let me ask you this: let's
Mm-hmm.
dabble into what could Stadia do, okay, in order to turn back the clock visually. Like, it will make people who said I'm done. It will make people who are still fans. What could they do to give you a promise that you feel like Stadia's not going nowhere? They're here to play. But realistically, not that, oh, they're going to pay all this money to bring back Stadia
Yeah.
entertainment, but it's like, okay, that makes no sense. So what
Yeah.
would you say?
It's simple. It's simple. They need to be transparent with people who give a crap about the platform. Again, it just make a statement, dude. I can't hold I mean, it baffles my mind. I own my own business, right? And if if I'm telling my customers that I'm closing this segment that they were interested in, and I don't provide them with another statement following, like what's next for my business or my agency, they're gonna freak out. They're gonna lose their mind. Some of them might leave. To me, you dropped a big bomb, kind of like Shadow again. We talked about this in the podcast. Shadow did something similar. They said, we're going bankrupt, da, 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 and they never said anything else. Like, they were supposed to have a press conference, a live stream last week, but didn't. Not communicating. I just don't get what's going on with this, right?
Now I
So
will
just
say
come
this.
out,
Now,
and address the public like this is the future. This is where we're heading. Like give us a presentation, a Stadia Connect, like come out and tell people what is really happening with this platform. It's that simple. That would gain trust. That would tell people, okay, should I invest in this still or should I not? I would say
Yes.
that's all they have to do, man. It's pretty
That makes
simple,
sense. I
man.
mean, you could just say, well, people can hold them to it. Like, hey, come out and just make a clear statement. We're not going nowhere. I mean, I'm kind of actions is louder than words. I mean, they've been coming out with games, so their gaming platform. I mean, maybe it seems like to me they ain't going nowhere, but who knows in about 6 months to a year, as Duncan would say. But I mean, that makes sense because this is a new generation. I'm a dinosaur, right? For me, I'm like,
Hmm.
dude, I like the games. Games coming, good enough. And then next, thing you know, they could go out of business. I'm like, dag, I had no clue. So I guess
Right.
for the new generation, for you to be like, listen, we ain't going nowhere. We got so many games coming. Oh wait, they did that. All right, well, but yeah, it's an extreme.
Yeah.
Well, what do you even feel about that? They came out and said they got so many games coming, and games been coming. I mean, is that still not good enough?
But again, that's the we knew that we knew
Okay.
that was a thing. The interview they had the fall of 2020, they said that they had pretty much 2021 and 22 covered. We knew those games. I would have been shocked if 100 games was not coming to Stadia. And again, like I said, when come end of this year, early in next year and beyond, if they're not getting these AAA games, then I feel like again that's where the
Do
concern
you
should start coming.
do you have a problem if Stadia isn't a part of E3? Does that make you feel some type of way or no?
For sure, for sure. It's so interesting how present Google was before. I mean, they were at GDC, they were at Gamescom, they were at E3, they held multiple other little events without. I mean, they were trying to push Stadia, but again, we've seen them go silent. So if I see them continue this trend of going silent, E3, Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, uh, that would be pretty concerning to me, for
Is,
sure.
is Duncan trolling right now? He said, does Apple Arcade have better exclusives
Stop
than
it.
Stadia?
Stop it. No. it actually it Duncan, get out of here, man. Duncan's
Stupid,
trying to
man.
get me in trouble, man.
I
Alright.
watched you guys. I watched you guys. Over the weekend, man. I was going from store to store, and I had the thing playing the
Yeah.
whole time in the car. Go,
Yeah.
but yeah, Doug is trying to be funny. But look, man, I appreciate you coming on.
For
Listen,
sure.
you were one of the first people I was watching. So this is like a little over a year, and here I am doing little shows, and I got you on here. That means a lot to me. I appreciate your time. Can you tell
That's
everybody
awesome.
where they can find you?
Sure, yeah, Cloud Gaming Xtreame. We do a lot of we cover all the cloud game platforms, and we try to showcase cloud gaming to help you guys decide which platform is best for you. So CGX YouTube and CGX Cast is our podcast on Saturdays. So for sure, I appreciate you though. And straight up, the reason I'm here is I want to support this. People don't realize and understand the difficulty of creating content, man, and just seeing people just be passionate about something that they enjoy and putting in the time to create content. I'm for that 100%. So this is dope. I like the series and I hope that you
And
continue
I just wanted to
doing it.
I wanted to bring a little different spin. I mean, your show that one time inspired me a little bit because I felt like a lot of you guys were kind of like I called you guys yes man, but a lot of people was like, yeah, what he said. I'm like, does anybody got their own mind? So my thought was, let me talk to people on one on one, so I can't hear like the peanut gallery or somebody in the background be like, yeah, what he said. And
Yeah.
that's what I like, man. But because
Yeah.
Duncan get a bad rap, but a lot of
Mm.
times he say something and somebody else might say something, and you don't fully get to hear what he was trying to say. You don't fully
True.
get to hear somebody ask him, "Wait, can you specify that? Can you clarify your words?"
Sure. Sure.
Because I thought he just said, "Oh, Stadium's dying in 6 months." So when I got him to clarify it, he pretty much just means, well, the name may change the YouTube gaming or something else. And so you could say, well, it's that technically it's not dying or it's not, but at least I got to have him clarify his words. But
Yeah,
anyway, thank you so much, Ace. I appreciate it. I'm a
for
fan. I'll be
sure.
watching more of your content. Sorry that I had to be walking around outside.
No, you good. You
We made it
good.
happen, you know.
You
So
good.
thank you so much. And thank everybody for watching. Guys, make sure you
Yeah, for
subscribe to
sure.
the channel, subscribe to my channel, and also subscribe to the Cloud
For
Gaming
sure.
Xtreame.
We'll get you in the podcast next month, man.
We
Try to
in there,
get you
brother.
in doc for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
I'm 100% I'm there.
All right. Cool. Cool. Well, thanks for having me, man.
You got it, man. Take care.
All right. Later.
Yeah.